that was not mentioned. True, that is kind of odd that this is not mentioned in the first Twilight. This is mentioned in the second Twilight. At this point, 2 more people have died. At this point, allegedly, 8 people have died. But if 2 are not dead, then the culprit of the first Twilight would have killed 6 people now. Could also be that the second Twilight was done by 2 people and each killed 1. In that case, the first Twilight would have like 5 dead people and 1 person alive. Or the culprit of the first Twilight killed 6 people and 4 in the first one, so 2 people are still alive. Couldn't that be true? But then I would have to wonder who could still be alive? And how could I reach that kind of conclusion? I mean, it was said that George didn't kill Shannon, so does that mean he's definitely not one of the culprits? But it only said he couldn't kill Shannon. That doesn't say he couldn't perhaps kill other people. He could be killing everybody except for Shannon because just he was not able to do it, and so those were allegedly confirmed by Battler, but we don't know if we can trust him. The same goes for those 2. Jessica we can trust, but her parents were not dead there yet. And Maria confirmed Rosa, but I also don't know if I can trust her. So like the next question will be, how could I even know who was not killed in the first Twilight? Is there anybody who does something strange that somehow... Everyone turn, let me know time to break. Oh. But this room was also locked. So, she unlocked the door. Okay, but how would that even be possible? 2 died instantly. Windows have been locked. Yes, but now I just have another closed room that I have no idea how to solve because the windows were locked, the door was locked, and it was confirmed that nobody was hiding in there. I think. Yeah, but the master keys don't even matter. They sealed the door, the room, as well as the dining hall, if Battler is telling the truth. And the rest. Yeah, here's the theory that they had. Someone just had to knock and get them to open the door, but they couldn't lock it afterwards. Locked the door from the inside, then hid in Natsui's room. Sealed the room at the same time they left. While Cobra joined the group as they left. And all the seals will not be broken. So, well, if two culprits, let's say two people survived the first twilight, one could just still be hiding in there. They seal the room, and no culprit joined them as they left. And she's not denying that somebody was hiding in there. Somebody could have killed Natsui and Klaus, which is still hiding in there, and will never leave. We still have another person left, after all, if two people faked their death. So I could just say that whoever killed Klaus and Natsui just remained in that room and enjoyed looking at the corpse. And we would still have another person who could commit the other crimes. Still doesn't tell me who did them, but yeah. What about this now? What is the next impossible thing? They found, alright. They found Shannon, who was dead. I mean, that should be easier, right? If two people survive the first twilight, one could just go outside and enjoy hiding in the bushes while it's raining, for whatever reason, and another one goes to kill Klaus and Natsuhi and then remains in that room. So whoever is still hiding outside could easily kill Shannon. I don't think there's any issue there. Yeah, and Kanon is gone as well, because it's Kanon and Shannon. The whole package. I don't think there's an issue there if we say that two people faked their death. One remained in Klaus and Natsui's room, and another one is now happily prancing around killing people. So what about the guest house? They carefully sealed all doors and windows, locking themselves in the closed room. Yeah, but the person who killed Shannon could then have already gone inside the guest house, couldn't they? So, if that was the case, they just locked themselves in with the second killer. And that is why they found these two dead, because whoever killed Shannon was already in the guest house and now killed Goda and Kumasawa. And the culprit would definitely have gotten blood spatter on themselves, yeah, but if the culprit is still in there hiding somewhere, then that doesn't really matter. It just means that none of you did it. I guess with Shannon, I also cannot complete... Oh, or can I? Hold on, what was it with Shannon again? No one has an alibi for Shannon's death, so I cannot completely rule out that that wasn't actually the second person who faked their death that is still walking around. That could actually have been one of the cousins, except for George. Like, that could be a trick for me to... where I actually need to select 3 people in the end, and because of the Shannon thing, I only select, I don't realize that could actually be in a third person, and only select 2 people. However, why would, yeah, I mean... But I'm still going with this 2 people faked their death. One is inside Klaus and Natsui's, I think it was Natsui's room, right? One is inside Natsui's room, and the other one went to the guest house to wait there for the rest of the people to come. Still, I just don't know if Shannon was killed by the second person or actually by another third person. No one can break into it. Yeah, because they're already inside. If I keep going with that theory, then I think Nanjo should have been easy as well. Because the person's already inside. must be. Like, how else could it make sense? No, it just means the culprit is among you, somewhere in this house. Oh, yeah. Oh, skipped a bit more than I wanted. And then Jessica ran outside. So what about that? Okay, they're hurriedly chased after her. So this is... I'm not sure if this actually destroys my idea, because if they immediately chase after her, then how can she be killed if the other person is still holed up in the guest house with them? Unless the person in the guest house has a sniper rifle or something along those lines, and just opened a window after they ran out and shot her from afar. I mean, that would make sense, especially since they say they are certain she probably died instantly, and there's no way anyone could live through this, so maybe somebody did a fucking headshot on her and her whole head exploded, and then it's pretty obvious that she should be dead. And that would still work, even if the person is still in the guest house. Like, Jessica runs out, everybody else runs after her, and the person in the guest house just quietly walks to a window, or even to the open main entrance door that they probably left open when they ran out, takes the sniper rifle or whatever gun they have, and shoots from the distance. So, I mean, that's as far as I can go now with this. And it might be completely wrong, but at least it sounds plausible to me. Sounds possible. Let me just, summarize what I mean. I'm just gonna say Rudolph and Kyrie for the fun of it, because at the end of episode 7, they were murdering people left and right. It doesn't really have to be them. That's just for the sake of making it easier to summarize. Let's say it would be those two. So they find 6 people allegedly dead. Genji's definitely dead. And let's say those 2 are not actually dead. Wouldn't that mean that Bella definitely died when he confirmed their death? It can only work that way, right? Otherwise, it could also be George, who lied when he confirmed their death, and then they did all the killing. But the fact that the person who confirmed the death of the 2 people who were not actually dead was lying kind of makes me think they are in on it and also at some point killed somebody. And George definitely couldn't kill Shannon, so I'm kind of going with maybe they did most of the killing and he killed Shannon. That could kind of work. However, still, the fact that he may lie about them being dead does not necessarily mean that he did kill Shannon. But let's at least say one of them went to kill Klaus and Natsuhi, the other one then went outside and either killed Shannon or he killed Shannon, or if this is the 3, no, that can't be. And the other one went to the guest house where they then murdered everybody, and when Jessica ran out, they just shot her through a window or opened a door. That would be my rough idea here. What happens if I get it wrong? Like, I'm kind of, just for the fun of it, I'm kind of tempted to just say, here, those 3. I mean, I could probably read another hint, because I don't think I can get any more. I don't think what else I could still check. I mean, okay, I could say that I think he is in on it. If that was the truth, then I could still believe what he's saying. Well, also, yeah, I would, that's why I saved. I would still check the hints, even if I got it right, just to get them. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go through the rest of the hints just to get them. But Now I'm just randomly saying, and maybe it's Rudolph, Kiri, and Battler. I think I have a theory about the closed room of the first Twilight. Let's hear it. The corpse examinations of the victims in the first Twilight still aren't certain. In other words, what if one of them was really the culprit? They killed the other 5, locked the dining hall from the inside, and played dead. Sure, they could create a closed room without using master keys that way. It leaves us with a problem, though. What problem? Remember? When we were talking about the second Twilight, Bancastle said this with the red truth. The culprit of the first Twilight really did kill 6 people. Yes, now that you mention it, moo. Moo! Because of that red, it seems all 6 people in the dining hall were dead after all. So how did someone lock the dining hall from the outside? Without using a key. Hey, Battler, does that red truth really confirm the death of all 6 people in the dining hall? Well, doesn't it? In that case, the 6 in the dining hall were all innocent, and excluding Genji, whose innocence has already been confirmed, we can remove 5 more people from the list of suspects, yes? In other words, 9 plus 5 equals 14 people have been proved innocent. There are only 3 left. Yeah, so this is where I was at first. Either Battler, George, or Maria is the culprit, but that contradicts what is said later. Wait a second. There's something about this that's bugging me. That red truth did say that the culprit killed 6 people. However, she didn't say that right after the first Twilight. I believe she said it back when we were talking about the second Twilight, yes? I'd like to read through that bit again. Let's search. It feels like that was a strange time for her to say it. Not bad. Can't underestimate these 2. Even their instincts are sharp. Okay, so that's a thing we already got now. Let's check the next one. I've been thinking about the second Twilight's closed room, but no matter how many times I try, I keep ending up with the same theory. You mean someone killing the pair of them, then locking the door from the inside and hiding? Yes. Since the master keys can't be used, the door must have been locked from the inside. So it only makes sense if the culprit was hiding somewhere in Natsuhi's room. Right. That is weird. That is weird. It says this in the narration, no matter how much time passed, Klaus and Natsuhi were the only ones who didn't return. And then it continues, everyone headed to Klaus's and Natsuhi's rooms together. If Klaus and Natsuhi were the only ones who didn't return, that implies that everyone else did return to the parlor. That's right. If the criminal locked themselves in Natsuhi's room after committing the crime, they shouldn't have been able to return. And yet everyone except the victims did return. It would make this crime impossible for all the survivors, so maybe we really should follow up on your theory of someone in the dining hall surviving and committing crimes later. Come to think of it, when I mentioned that theory I was hit with a red truth. My theory was that someone in the dining hall was alive and killed Klaus and Natsuhi. The theory was countered by this red. The culprit of the first Twilight really did kill 6 people. Well, that red is hardly surprising. After all, the culprit went on to kill Klaus and Natsuhi, so they have killed a total of not just 6, but 8 people. Yeah, but the number 6 or 8 only makes sense then if 2 people... Yeah, hold on. They went on to kill Klaus and Natsuhi, which means... They don't actually say it. I've got it. We've been fooled. I know what she meant by saying the culprit killed 6 people. What do you mean you know what she meant? Explain yourself. The culprit of the first Twilight really did kill 6 people. If she'd said this right after the first Twilight, I probably wouldn't have found anything odd about it. Okay, I probably should have checked a few more hints because they are really taking it slow here. I thought they would immediately reveal something big, but this might have nudged me into the right direction earlier. But now I have to thank Cyblade for that one hint there. If she'd said this right after the first Twilight, I probably wouldn't have found anything odd about it. However, since she said it after the second Twilight, a new possibility shows itself. You don't mean that the 6 people who were killed includes the murders of the second Twilight? That's it. The culprit really was hiding among the 6 in the dining hall. Later on, they snuck out of the dining hall, killed the 2 people in Aunt Natsuhi's room, locked the door from the inside, and hid somewhere in the room. The culprit could only have killed 5 people at most in the dining hall. However, if we add on the victims of the second Twilight, they would definitely have killed at least 6 times. I see, now it all adds up. You can construct the closed rooms of both the first and second Twilights without using master keys. Well, you'd think so, but that reminds me of something else. Aunt Natsuhi's room was sealed immediately afterwards. Yes, come to think of it, Lady Bancastle used the red truth to say this. The group sealed the room at the same time they left. No culprit joined the group as they left. And she also said this, all of the seals will not be broken. In other words, the culprit is trapped in the closed room again. That theory might explain the first and second Twilights. However, the culprit would be sealed inside Aunt Natsuhi's room unable to leave. And that means they wouldn't be able to carry out the fourth Twilight and onwards. I thought it was such a nice theory, but I guess it's wrong. Well, unless, as I said, you have two people who faked their death. I don't think we're wrong about this theory, but maybe it just needs some more tweaking. Yeah, and the tweaking would be that two people faked their death. Well, let's go on. For now, I'm just reading the hints to confirm or deny what I have thought up so far. No, it does work. There's no problem if the culprit gets sealed up. Not as long as there's a second culprit. Yes! A multiple culprit theory. Yes, that does seem to be the only way. That way, even if one culprit is sealed up, the other can continue murdering. Oh yeah, feels so good. If you think about it, our theory needed an accomplice from the very beginning. In the first Twilight, Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, that old bastard Kiryu-san, and Aunt Rosa. In other words, everyone who hasn't been confirmed innocent had their death confirmed by people who also haven't been confirmed innocent. Well, now let's see how wrong I was about the rest, probably. I probably was only right about there being two culprits, but now everything else I said was probably completely off. But we'll see. Had their deaths confirmed by people who also haven't been confirmed innocent. Unless those people were fellow culprits, no one would have been able to play dead. Yeah, but that would only implicate one of the other cousins, but it was clearly stated that Nanjo could not have been killed by one of the cousins, so it must be three culprits. Whoever confirmed, or pretended to confirm the death, must have pretended to confirm two deaths while two people were actually still alive. Otherwise, how could the whole murdering in the guest house work? Like, if we said that it was Battler and Kiryu, let's say Battler pretended to confirm Rudolph and Kiryu's death, but actually Kiryu was still alive. So then she killed Natsuhi and Klaus and stayed sealed up in that room, and Battler would still be able to commit other murders. That would work for Shannon's murder, but it wouldn't work for Nanjo's murder, where it was confirmed. If I didn't read it wrong, I think it was clearly confirmed that none of the cousins could have killed Nanjo, so that must mean there must be one more person. Where was I? In the first Twilight, on Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, that old bastard. In other words, everyone has been confirmed innocent, and the deaths confirmed by people who also haven't been confirmed innocent. Unless those people were fellow culprits, no one would have been able to play dead. You're right. After all, the rules say that only culprits can cooperate with other culprits. Culprits are capable of lying even before they commit murder, so we have ourselves a theory. The culprit who carried out the first Twilight murders also carried out the second Twilight, then locked themselves up in Natsuhi's room. Then the other culprit who lied about the first culprit's death carried on with the murders starting in the fourth Twilight. Yes, it all matches up that way. So which of them was it? Unfortunately, so far, any of them could be a culprit. However, we can say for sure that the crime wasn't committed by a single person, and we know that the culprit locked up in Natsuhi's room was one of those 5 victims in the dining hall. And we also know that the person who continued with the crimes was one of those who inspected the 5 suspicious corpses in the first Twilight. One of those who inspected the 5 suspicious corpses in the dining hall, that would be Battler, George, or Maria. We know that one of those 3 committed the murders later on. But really, do we? Excellent. Let's focus on those 3 and find the truth about those later crimes. Let me just check that again. I think it was Jessica. The 4 cousins and Dr. Nanjo couldn't have killed Goda-san or Kumasawa-san. And Maria, Battler, George, Nissan, and I all couldn't have killed Dr. Nanjo. And this is what Jessica says. So I still maintain that what they just said in the hint section will lead to a dead end because of what Jessica says. But let's see. The next crime is the 4th Twilight. Well, that works. I mean, Shannon could have been killed by whoever confirmed or pretended to confirm the death of the parents. Shannon-chan was the one killed. No one has an alibi with one exception. George. Jessica, who has been confirmed innocent, used the purple text to say that it was impossible for George to kill Shannon. So doesn't that mean either Battler or Maria must have killed her? I'd like to think that, but it's too soon to be sure. Battler, Maria, and every other person except George lacks an alibi. I've managed to prove that the crime wasn't committed by a single person, but I didn't prove that there were exactly 2 culprits. At this point in time, it's still too soon to be sure. I see. There might be a culprit for the first and second Twilights, a culprit who lied about the first culprit's death, and another completely separate culprit as well. Yes, it was a mistake to overlook that. The murder of Shannon Chan was possible for anyone with only one single exception. Also, that fact alone isn't enough to prove that George Umineko is innocent. I thought this would be an easy one since there's no closed room, but on the contrary, we have no suspicious circumstances and no information to lead us to the culprit. What does he mean that fact alone isn't enough to prove that George Umineko is innocent? Oh, probably because it could be that George killed other people later, but didn't kill, Shannon. The pace of the crimes picks up starting here. Instead of getting stuck on this one part, we should start taking a look at the fifth Twilight too. Okay, let's see. So far, it goes according with what I said, even though I'm not entirely sure who the three are that I would select. Although I would probably, as I said, I would probably select Rudolph, Curie, and Battler, simply because of the whole George didn't kill Shannon thing, but that is more like a whim than anything based on real purple text. It seems we have a problem with the fifth and sixth Twilights. We can trust Jessica's purple statement, and she said this: the four cousins and Dr. Nanjo couldn't have killed Goda-san or Kumasawa-san. Okay, yeah, we're still on the same page as I am. The four cousins and Nanjo, in other words, all the survivors at this point in time. On the face of it, that makes this crime impossible. However, that's where we can spin the chessboard around, correct? You've got it. This actually gives us a simple answer. This Twilight proves that there's a culprit who isn't Dr. Nanjo or one of the cousins. Other than these survivors, everyone is supposed to be dead, and yet it was impossible for the survivors to commit the crime. It's absolute proof that one of the culprits faked their death. And since there exists a culprit who faked his or her death, that's absolute proof that there were multiple culprits. Only a culprit can fake an examination and lie. The fifth and sixth Twilights may seem to be perfect impossible crimes, but this one incident alone tells us so much. Impossible crimes are a double-edged sword. They have the power to make your opponent surrender, but they also make it possible for theorists to break deep into your lines of defense. Long ago, you would surely have surrendered. How far you've come. It's all because you've trained me so well. The pair grinned at each other. They had been to the brink of death and back in their many intellectual games before now. They wouldn't be discouraged by a riddle like this. Now let's move on to the crimes of the seventh and eighth Twilights. I think we're getting pretty close to the core of things. Yes, let's get ourselves ready and go. Okay, so far this still is in line with my weird ideas. The situation is exactly the same in the seventh Twilight. Since we can trust Jessica's purple statement, the four cousins, or in other words, all of the survivors, couldn't have committed the crime. And yet there's something I don't quite get. The culprit of the first of two Twilights was someone in that group of 5 victims from the first Twilight. Though that first culprit was sealed in Natsui's room, the child was also a culprit who lied when confirming their death. However, the only kids who can be a culprit are Battler, George, and Maria. That's right, and we've proven that they couldn't have committed murder for the 5th, 6th, and 7th Twilights. In other words, this shows us that yet another culprit exists. Interesting. It also happens to be a theory that makes sense. It would mean that the third culprit was also one of those who played dead. It might even be possible to have 4 or 5 culprits in this way, yeah. I'm not sure about that. At any rate, Goda, Kumasawa, and Nanjo couldn't have been killed if there were only 2 culprits. There can be no doubt of that. This is getting complicated. Was it a group of 3 culprits? I think it was. Or was it a pair working together and someone else on their own? Alright, we can't forget the possibility that there are more than 3 culprits. Of the 17 people who appear in the story, 9 have been confirmed innocent. Let's put Battler, George, and Maria to the side, since they survived. The group of people who were supposedly dead but not proved innocent includes Ifa, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, Kiri, and Rosa, all victims of the first Twilight. Now the question is, which of those 5 victims in the dining hall were playing dead? We're close now. This is starting to get interesting. Yeah, but that's the thing, I'm not entirely sure how to figure out who was dead or wasn't. I'm still going with these 3, just, I don't know. Because I don't see any, that's the only thing I still don't like about my theory is that I have absolutely no idea how I could figure out who played dead. As for the 8th Twilight in the end, the layout's exactly the same. Indeed, the narration says that George, Battler, and Maria could not have killed Jessica. The 3 survivors couldn't have done it. The purple statements here sound like they should hold a lot of hints for us. George and Maria's purple statements are particularly interesting. Yeah, that's true, because Maria says that George couldn't kill an adult, but he could kill a kid. And Maria couldn't kill anyone. Of course, I'm not sure if we can trust this. But let's say if I do trust this, then it does only leave Balor. George's and Maria's purple statements are particularly interesting. If only we could trust them, they would be quite a powerful clue. If George Aniki is innocent, then his purple statement about Maria being unable to kill anyone would be true, and Maria would be confirmed innocent. In the same way, if Maria is innocent, then her statement about George being unable to kill an adult would be true, and in the end that proves George Aniki innocent. It would, but we cannot confirm that either of them is innocent. Yeah, I mean, it's completely possible also that Eva and Hideyoshi actually played dead, and George lied about that, but he couldn't kill Shannon, so one of those did that. That is possible, I guess. And I'm probably overlooking something that either confirms or denies it, but at this point in my head it is possible. If either George Aniki or Maria could prove that the other was innocent, they would be innocent too. It's like a chicken and egg dilemma. It almost feels like a useful hint, but not quite. Pretty annoying. Proving innocence for either of them probably won't be easy. At least we've gotten the suspects down to a small number. From here on out, there's probably nothing left to do except check each one to see if they could have been a culprit. You're right, it feels like we're getting to the final stretch. Looks like they've almost made it, doesn't it? I feel like a fish on the chopping board. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess I could try and go through everything again to see if I can somehow... I still kind of doubt Balor. I don't know, but I'm gonna... Huh? Oh, shouldn't I be able to read that? Oh no, I didn't want to... I didn't want to click on that again. Oh, we're actually doing that? Maybe I should have done that myself. But... theories with Maria as a culprit... well... that doesn't... I already ruled her out simply because that wouldn't leave enough people. Like, if she and her mother were in on it, we wouldn't have another person. We need 3 culprits, right? And I find it hard to believe that one of the other parents was working together with Rosa and Maria and would kill their spouse. She could have carried out the crimes on the first and second Twilights. Then she gets locked in Aunt Natsu's room, and Maria does the rest of the murders. It was impossible for Maria to commit any of the murders in the guest house, so the most Maria could do was kill Shannon. Yeah, which means a third culprit would be needed for the guest house murders. The third one would have to be Eva Hideyoshi Widow of Curia. That means we would need a fourth culprit too, correct? You're right, because you would need another culprit to confirm that they even were not alive, and that would be kind of too much, I think. You're right, in order for one of those 4 adults to play dead, the child we'll check them would have to be a culprit too. In other words, if Maria is a culprit, we'll need to have at least 4 culprits total. If there are 4 culprits, then each of them must kill at least one person. The definition of culprit is one who murders. In which case, things don't quite seem to add up. The 4 culprits would then be 2 adults and 2 children. 1 adult is in charge of the murders in the first and second Twilights. Yeah, but then you have only Shannon who gets murdered. Shannon is the only one who can be murdered by one of the cousins. But if you have 2 children who must be culprits, then 1 children is left without anyone to murder. The other adult handles the murders from the guest house onwards. Yes, that creates a contradiction, exactly. A culprit is defined as one who murders. That means every culprit must commit murder at least once. Simply put, there are very few people that a child culprit could murder. The children could not have killed in the first and second Twilights. They also can't commit murder after the first death in the guest house take place. The only one they can possibly commit is Shannon's murder on the fourth twilight. That's what I'm saying. A child culprit can only kill Shannon. A second child culprit couldn't kill anyone, so they couldn't be a culprit at all. And here we go back to the fact that I still think... Here we go back to me still thinking it has to be Bella, because if the child culprit can only kill Shannon, and it was confirmed that George would not be able to kill Shannon, it has to be Bella, right? A second child culprit couldn't kill anyone, so there couldn't be a culprit at all. It means there can be only one child culprit. As soon as we pick Maria as a culprit, we need another adult culprit besides Rosa. However, it's impossible for there to be a second child culprit to lie about their parents' death. In other words, it's impossible for Maria to be a culprit. Yeah. But who said that again? That George... Oh, she was it who said it. Well, then we can also rule out George, and I must have been right with this. Next, let's try out theories. Well, George is a culprit. The fact that they're trying out George next also makes it sound to me like George is not going to be the culprit, because the hints are probably going to eliminate the wrong things first. Only one child culprit can exist, so if George Aniki is a culprit, that means Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi are the only adults who could have been playing dead. So a 3-person group with 2 adults and 1 kid? I see, that sounds like it explained all the crimes so far, doesn't it? But hold it, that's actually impossible too. Indeed, it's clearly shown that George cannot be a culprit. Pretty sharp. The kids can only kill Shannon on the fourth twilight. A trustworthy purple statement has already proven that George couldn't have been the culprit in Shannon's murder. That's it. Just one tiny alibi that only works for Shannon-chan's murder. That's what proves George Aniki innocent for all the crimes. So we need not suspect George, which means all of his purple statements can be relied upon. You know, at this point, I'm really super tempted to just click the 3. But I still, like, even if I knew 100% now that it was correct, even if I knew that, which I'm not saying I do, but even if I did, I still would want to read the rest of the hints, just because it's nice to get more, yeah. I just want to see all the text, you know. Once we're sure that George is innocent, that automatically makes Maria innocent too. Yeah. It confirms George Aniki's purple statement saying Maria couldn't kill anyone. Since she couldn't kill anyone, she can't be a culprit. So Maria is also confirmed innocent. I'm just wondering if going through all the hints before confirming the culprit would, like, make me lose some kind of achievement. I wonder. Since, not that I really care about that. Since George and Maria are innocent, that also proves that their examinations of their parents' death were trustworthy. That's right. No one will mistakenly confirm a death, and people who aren't culprits can't lie, so the death of their parents have been confirmed, and those parents are also innocent. We've gotten rid of almost everyone. The answer is already clear, is it not? Yeah. Oops, no, don't return to the title. I can still do another hint? I guess that one is... I know what I just said, but I want to do it now. I'll just reload and read the hint then. I just want to know if it's right. Somebody! Is anyone there? Oni-chan! Ah! Oh wait, we're going to Angie now? Okay, I'm going to save it here on a different spot. And I'm quickly going to load the other one. I thought it would immediately clear things up, but apparently it doesn't. I'm going to reload this now just to read the rest of the hints, and then I will load the one again that I just did. Because I don't want the game to treat me like I needed all the hints. But maybe I did. First off, there are multiple culprits. That's confirmed. These crimes would be impossible for a single person. To start, one of the adult culprits carried out the first twilight, then played dead. Since we know that all the servants with master keys were innocent, there was no way for the culprit to lock the door to the dining hall from the outside. So we know the one who locked it did so from inside the room. And in order for them to play dead, they needed another culprit to lie when examining their death. Genji-san is innocent, and the examinations of all 5 suspicious victims were performed by their own children. So the child of the first culprit is the second culprit. And the child culprit couldn't carry out the crimes once they started occurring in the guest house. However, the adult culprit was sealed up in Natsuhi's room, so a second adult culprit was needed. 2 adults, 1 kid. That's what our culprit group looks like. Yes, I know. It should be obvious by now. The name of the child culprit in this culprit group is clear. Pretty much, all of the kids have been proven innocent with one exception. And the only corpse inspections that a child culprit could lie about were the inspections of that child's own parents. So the culprit group was a family of 2 adults and 1 child. Murder is a family, huh? How sweet. So who are the 3 culprits? There's hardly any point in stretching this out further, is there? Yeah, I just want to read all the text. Oh, come on. What a messed up answer. Looks like I was the child culprit. Even in my games, battle culprit theories were some of the most popular, weren't they? It seems so. Sheesh, why does everyone think I did it? If you're a culprit, that automatically makes your parents culprits too. There's no need to worry anymore. We've already won. There's no need for any more discussions or hints. Let's move ahead with the answer. Is it over? Well done. It seems the mystery of this level wasn't enough to beat those 2 after all. So I was right! Okay, but now I'm gonna load. Because I don't know if the game will, reading all the hints and then confirming the culprit, treat that as, like, treat that somehow differently and somehow shame you for not having figured it out yourself when actually I managed to, after Cyblade's helpful comment and a lot of the hints. Somebody, is anyone there? Oni-chan! Ah. Angie flew out of the guest house, sobbing. Is there anyone still alive on this island? When she checked the cousin room earlier, it had been completely empty. However, she remembered that she hadn't seen Butler, George, or Maria's buddies. What she didn't know was whether this meant they were safe or whether she was about to be reunited with them as corpses. Where are they? Where? Answer me! She dashed around through the rain. Where was she going? Nowhere in particular. The lost little sister dashed around in circles, searching for her brother. Drenched with rain and all alone. Eventually, I thought I heard my brother's voice from beyond the bush. No, it wasn't just his voice. I heard George Oni-chan's and Maria Oni-chan's voices too. I called out at the top of my lungs, but they didn't answer. But it's okay now. They're right there, just on the other side of the fence. I could even faintly see them through the fence. When I ran around the fence, I found myself standing in front of a shed or something. It must be a shed to store tools for the rose garden. The 3 of them were standing in front of the shed. Oni-chan! I cried out, but my voice didn't reach them. Even though I yelled so loudly, something felt very wrong about all this. When people hear a voice, even when they pretend not to have heard it, their bodies tend to show some sign that they've noticed. However, there was no trace of that in the 3 of them. Even though I was screaming so loud, it truly wasn't reaching their ears. The instant I understood that, my dash towards them slowed and came to a halt. Though we appeared to be in the same world, we were actually in different worlds entirely. It was like seeing someone on TV. I was about to say, she was taken hostage, so maybe she is not part of the game now. Or was it more like seeing a ghost? I could see them clearly, but as far as they were concerned, I didn't exist. After all, look. Even if I stand in front of them, their eyes can't see me. If I try and touch them, will I really be able to? What if my hand just went right through? I was so scared at the thought that I could do nothing but stand there in shock, even though I was so close to them. Damn it, I don't have a clue anymore. Someone must have snuck in from outside the island after all, and they're massacring the Yoshidomiya family. No matter how we let ourselves in, someone always gets killed. Well, it's the work of the witch after all. Everyone calm down. Let's calm down and think. No one exists on this island except those with a direct relation to the Yoshidomiya family. That doesn't make sense. After all, we've just seen several murders that would be impossible for any one of us. Well, that's true. But is it really? Maybe we've just missed something. Missed something? For example, that's right, maybe someone was playing dead. Since we're the only ones on this island, the culprit must be one of us. That means someone we thought was dead was actually faking. But Aniki, that's impossible. Every one of the corpses was checked by someone. There's no way any of them were faking. I don't want to think about it, but one of those corpse inspectors were also faked. Huh? It could have gone like this. There were multiple culprits from the start, then one plays dead and the other lies and confirms that the first culprit died. Lies. Then the culprit who played dead keeps on committing crimes, creating the illusion that some stranger has snuck onto the island. Do you still suspect someone in the Yoshidomiya family of being the culprit? Dr. Nanja was killed, so it's probably safe to say that he isn't a culprit, and we can consider the examinations performed by a doctor like him to be the most reliable. If so, then it's fair to say that the people whose death Nanjo checked were almost certainly dead. Who did Nanjo check? Genji's corpse, Klaus and Nasuhi's corpses, Shannon's corpse, Gora and Kumasawa's corpses. Think back to the beginning of the bodies in the dining hall. Of those 6 victims, Dr. Nanjo only inspected Genji's son. But didn't the rest of us check the others? Yes, but Dr. Nanjo didn't actually inspect them himself. What are you talking about? How the hell could our parents have survived after being killed like that? Anyway, what do you think you're saying, George Aniki? Wouldn't that mean one of our parents is the culprit? That's insane. They were killed right at the beginning, and so many of them. How can you accuse your parents of being killed after that? I won't let anyone, not even you, suspect and slander our parents after they've been killed like that. Sorry. I know my mama was really dead, so does that mean George Oni-chan's parents or Bettler's parents were the culprits? Let's stop this, Maria-chan. I must have lost it a bit back there. George Oni-chan wouldn't kill Shannon. That's enough. None of us would kill members of our family, right? So I don't think George Oni-chan would lie and say his parents were dead, not if they were really alive. There's no way George Oni-chan would help out in a crime if Shannon was going to be killed. Calmly as though answering a quiz or a riddle, Maria spoke to George. Then with a blank look on her face, she turned to Bettler and spoke. Bettler, you saw your dad's and mom's corpses, right? Yeah, I saw them. We all saw them, right? Those pitiful bloodstained. I think you're lying. Huh? Where the hell did that come from? Because that way it all makes sense. Back in the dining hall, Bettler's parents weren't dead. One of them killed Natsuhi and Uncle Klaus, knocked the door from the inside and waited in that room. The other one took over the murders after that. To break open the closed room of the guest house, they needed to have an accomplice inside. That was Bettler. That explains everything. Enough! Stop it, Bettler-kun. You too, Maria-chan. Finally, all the pieces fit together in the wolves and sheep puzzle in my head. The culprit of Bettler's family. Whoa! Am I right? What are you talking about? Correct. Ah. The voice came from behind Angie. She spun around, surprised. There, covered in blood, yet wearing cheery expression, were Rudolph and Kiria.